Scored 14 runs last night and didn't score any today. I knew that would happen last night. But hey, everybody, we're getting ready to talk Disney. I'm not going to complain about baseball. I know we will not lose tomorrow because we're off. That's the deal. All right. So we are going to be speaking with Missy. Missy, I didn't ask where you're from. Where are you from?
We are in Bentonville, Arkansas,
Oh
home
my
of
gosh, you're
Walmart.
just down south of us. Yeah, you got Coach Odom, one of my favorites at
We are
Arkansas.
my Walmart country.
Bentonville. So is that close to Fort Smith? I used to go to Fort Smith every
We are about 45 minutes north.
Yep. I used to speed skate I think it was Martin Luther King weekend. We had a big competition in Fort Smith at Crystal Palace roller rink. I remember it was awesome. And I got trapped down there one year because it like snowed while I was down there and like iced, and they said they didn't have any plows.
No, they
'Cause you had to
don't.
go, like,
Nope.
because I guess it was 71 that I went up like to Springfield and
Yeah.
then went up 44. And so there's kind of mountains, right? I mean,
Mhm.
those roads are kind of scary there, in northwestern Arkansas. And I remember I had to go home through Oklahoma on a bunch of like
Yes.
toll roads.
Yes. We have quite a diverse community here because Walmart has moved so many people in to work for them. We moved here from Texas. Um, and so when we had the big snow back in February, everyone was complaining how everything was shut down because a lot of people here are from the north. And we were like, but we don't have anything to get it off the road.
I mean, this was like in the late 90s. And I'm like, well, because I'm from there, like, where are the plows? Like, where's the salt trucks? Like,
No.
we have sand. I'm like, sand? What sand? This ain't a beach. I want to go home.
Yes. Yep. When we could say lived on the mountain in Bella Vista, which is even farther north than Bentonville. Like we were trapped in our house for like 7 days. We couldn't get down the mountain because there's
Oh
no
my
plow.
God. My grandparents had friends in Bella Vista, and they always talked about it. They loved going down and seeing them. I remember
Very
that.
pretty. Very
Yes,
pretty.
I was like, going down to Bella Vista. I remember that. God, I hadn't thought about that in
Yep.
ages. Okay, we'll get cracking here. And hello to Lisa and to Kathy and Kate, who's tuned in down in Australia, Sydney right now. Wow. It's almost winter for you. It's almost summer here. It's chilly today, but not bad. All
It
right.
is.
1886. Let me just double check because I check my math here. Episodes. I can never. Yep. 1885 is Friday. Yep. 1886. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1886 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a wonderful yet kind of chilly weekend here in the Midwest, but hey, you can't complain. We're moving towards the long summer nights. Apparently, all I see on Twitter and on our local news is cicada are pending. So this is going to be a loud summer, but hopefully a great summer for all of us. And you know what? We're going to jump into another work week as we've been doing forever, but things are getting back to normal. And the best way to do that is with a fun trip report. We didn't have one last Monday. Scott and I kind of hijacked the show, but today we're back to the trip reports, and I'm excited to welcome Missy to the show from down to the south of me, down in Arkansas. Missy, what's going on?
Not much. We're excited to talk Disney anytime we can talk about our favorite place.
Absolutely. So we are going to talk about your trip that you took towards the end of January, beginning of February. So just a couple of months ago. But before we do that, it's kind of one of my favorite things I started doing about a year ago. What's your backstory? Why are you listening to a Disney podcast? Growing up, were you lucky enough, unlike me, to get to go to the parks and stuff like that? Did you watch a lot of Disney on TV? What's your story?
So yes, watched a ton of Disney on TV. Grew up in a very rural area, but happened to have access to the Disney Channel, so we watched a lot of that. No, my husband and I, neither one grew up going to Disney. I went to a Disney park for the first time when I was 17. Went to Disneyland for my senior trip with family. Um, and we just went for a couple days, but love the atmosphere and things. So, fast forward, married, have three kids. Our oldest, who's now 15, when he was 7, about to turn 8, we decided like we need to take him because the magic's going to be gone if we don't do
Right.
it soon.
Goes
And we were
away.
like,
Hurry. You got
and
to.
my husband,
They do a good job with that, don't they? Yeah. If you
yeah,
don't come now, it's never going to be there.
never going to be the right time again. And so we talked my parents into going with us because crazy me, we took a 7-year-old, a not quite 3-year-old, and an 18-month-old. So took
Wow.
grandparents with us, and my husband swore it was going to be our only ever once in a lifetime Disney trip. we went and I think before we even got on the plane to come back, he was like, "When are we coming back?" So
That's a
I was like, "When
successful trip when
someone's out
you
of diapers, that's when
yeah.
we'll come back."
But here's the thing, and I've said this for years, and I never thought that it would come to this, when I was thinking about talking about, trip planning and my personal experiences, because I was a dad that I wasn't really great at changing diapers. I have a really simple like gag reflex. Like I just wasn't good at it. So like I wasn't a super I mean, I would watch her, but I wasn't super hands on. Unfortunately, when I got married, Paige was already 4. So we were past all this stuff. That was good
Yeah.
because I'm her stepdad. But the thing is, what I learned was when Mallory was 6 months old, her first trip, piece of cake, right? Because
Mm,
she's not like asking for everything. She's not running around. You just had to give her a bottle when she needed it. You'd change her. She'd sleep in the stroller. Didn't go during a super hot time. Now, when they get to be, Lord help you, when they're like 3 or 4. I mean, like I see these parents. And I see, we have a listener, Megan. She has triplet boys, like they're 8. I'm like, no. I'm like, I know that you want to go to Walt Disney World, but like, how? Like, I can't imagine. Like, I taught 2nd grade. I know, no, I couldn't.
grandparents,
Yeah,
that's how.
that's a great tip, right? I mean, did it help because you have more hands to kind of spread
Yeah.
out the work? Plus, the grandparents are probably treasuring that time with the kids.
Oh, they loved it. I think my parents might love Disney World now more than my kids do. Yes, it helped with management of the kids because especially we have a huge age spread, right, with our kids because we have a 15, currently they're 15, 10, and going to be 9 on Saturday. So sometimes finding things that all 3 of them will like to do is hard. And so it helped to be able to split up and go, hey, you take the 2 little ones and go see this, and we're going to take big and we're going to go ride Splash Mountain. Because if my middle, he doesn't like for brother to get to do things that he doesn't get to, like, he didn't
Right.
understand why I can't get on Splash Mountain. It looks really fun. He's my thrill seeker too. He's like, I'm going to like it more than he is. Why are they
Right.
letting him on? So it helped with that. But also being a family of 5, booking a room for 5
Mhm.
can
Right.
sometimes be really difficult. And so we would just book adjoining rooms. And I found that Disney was super accommodating when I was like, hey, one child's going to sleep in the grandparents' room. And so they just made sure we had adjoining rooms. We've done that a couple times, and we take turns sleeping in grandma and papa's room. And it's worked well for us. Now that they're older, grandparents aren't going with us as much, and we don't need them as much,
We won't let him hear
thankfully.
that. We won't let him hear this. That's funny.
So anyway, that's kind of how we started. We stayed at Caribbean Beach the first trip, so it does have a little bit. I heard Scott talking the other night, little sentimental value there. We went and buy it on the Skyliner this trip, um, but we haven't stayed there again. We need to go back because I think they've refurbished and things like that. But anyway, so then we went a few more times in between and went down and kind of got hooked into the DVC thing. Didn't do it when we were on property. Got home. My he's our financial numbers guy. I'm just the fun girl. I'm like, well, it seems fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
We should do it.
here, where do I sign?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was a math coach for a while in our school district, and I like Disney math way better than
For real.
the
Yeah.
math I do at school.
It costs
Um,
more, but I can't not do it, right? I mean, that extra night, the plane ticket will be $12 cheaper if I stay another $200 night. Hey, we gotta do it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
but he did the nitty gritty for us and was like, you know what, let's do it. So we did, and has been one of the best things I think for us um, to be DVC because we booking a room for 5 and having room can sometimes be stressful and trying to find one. Anyway, so it's worked out well for us. So
Well, especially a group of 5. I mean, because right now, I mean, with Port Orleans, I mean, just speaking purely from a travel agent point of view, that with Port Orleans Riverside out of the inventory for right now, it could come back next week. We don't know. But that was always kind of a go-to. You talk about that in a Caribbean Beach out of the 5th sleeper rooms. But I've always said, and you mentioned a great point, just strictly trip planning for folks that are in a situation like you that have 5, 6 in the family, that the adjoining rooms, they're a good idea at a value or a moderate. And you mentioned, if the grandparents have a room, the kids could kind of shift back and forth, but it gives you 2 bathrooms, which in the morning when you're trying to get ready is a huge plus. And it does give kind of a little bit more privacy than putting 5 people in one room. It's just, I mean, there's not much privacy in a 2 queen room, but it feels like you have just a little bit more personal space. And
Yeah,
so I
no,
think
well, and
you bring up a great
when
point.
our children were little, again, great divide and years separating, bedtimes weren't the same. So it helped with that too. Oldest could stay up, maybe go to the pool with us, and grandparents could put little ones to bed. Like it just worked out well for us that
All right,
way.
one
But
more
now that
question.
they're older.
Well, sorry, one more question before we hop into the trip, because I'll make sure we have plenty of time to talk about that. But
Yeah.
with this spread of the ages of the kids, like when you're getting ready to go, and they've gone now, more than multiple times. So
Yeah. They have
how do they
opinions now, yes.
exactly? But I mean, how do they get ready? Do they still get excited? Do they go and watch YouTube
Oh,
videos? Do they have what's the getting excited like a month out, 2 weeks out? Like what's that like in your house?
a month. We start counting down like
Yeah, a year, whatever it takes. I get it.
today is day 80 until our next one.
Yeah,
So
nice.
um so when they were little, I did some countdown kind of things, like, fun. I would have I had like the huge Mickey balloon, and every day he'd be holding a different sign for
Oh
the
man,
number of days, and he would just float around our house.
shut up. That's all.
Kindergarten teacher, okay?
Totally, I'm like that is too cool.
um, but they do. Today we watch once a day when we're counting down to a trip. We'll watch a YouTube video of some kind. My middle loves like the TPM vids, and they all kind of have ones that and so they'll kind of like, I don't know, scout them out and then bring them to the family. Like, we should watch this one or we should watch that one. And so, yeah, and they definitely have opinions. Like, they know we have 20 days until time to book dining for our next trip. And so I'm already like, I feel like they're, um, I'm losing my word, but lobbyists, like they're little lobbyists
Right,
for
right.
what they want. Like when they have me alone, they're like, "So, were you thinking we should probably go to the boathouse? Don't you think?" And I'm like, "Your
Oh,
brother already talked to me about this one."
they're smart, boy. That's a great.
uh,
Hey, that'll serve them well later in life.
I don't know. I don't know if we're doing them well or
Oh,
creating little monsters. I'm not sure, but so yeah, there's lots of getting excited. They start looking when we go to stores for new shirts to get to take with them, like, tank tops or whatever. When we
right.
run in Walmart, like, oh, mom, like a new Minnie Mouse bathing suit. Can I grab that? So lots of prep. Disney's probably talked about in our house at least once a day.
Oh yeah. So same because we're headed down less than 2 weeks when this comes out, and yeah, it's totally taken over. It's a business trip. I got to remember that because it's for cheerleading championships. So
Yeah.
Mallory can't go into the parks until Sunday, and we get there on Thursday. That's hard, but Dad isn't on.
Oh,
But Dad isn't
yeah.
on the cheerleading squad. Dad has an annual pass.
There you go.
And Dad has theme park reservations. So I'm just saying, she
There
might
you go.
have to do some by
I
herself.
know.
Anyway,
We
so
have we have tried to do like I've tried to do I did the half in 2019, and I tried to just because I was teaching then, I tried to just like do a weekend with my friend that was running with me. Like, I'll leave on Thursday, so I don't have sub plans.
Yep. Oh
Like
yeah.
fewest amount of those I had to do. Oh no, the whole family went for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
Dopey
we're not
challenge was
going.
Dopey challenge was really hard being a school teacher because like you had to be there really Wednesday to get your stuff. Because then you had like I was like,
Yeah,
God, 5K, like this 45-minute little race is causing me all this grief with my administration. Like, but I got
yes,
to do the Dopey.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I don't. We don't get away to Disney without them.
Real.
They're
I know,
fun.
I get it. Yeah, Mallory gets mad because I've gone down for a couple of media things. Like, why can't I go? Because you weren't invited. Your name's not on the invitation. You don't have a podcast. That's what I thought. She gets mad.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'll buy you a souvenir. Anyway, okay. So I want to make sure we get
Okay.
into the
Yeah.
you guys
I'm
know.
so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Hang on.
My child is going to take care of it right now. Okay.
No problem. Let me just write this
Okay.
time so I miss some of these edits sometimes. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
I'm glad I got a headphones on because Riley didn't hear a thing. That's why you wear headphones. Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me try. Let's see. All right. So let's kind of hop into your trip here that you took back in January. And I want to start off with where you stayed because it is one of my favorite resorts. Now, the hotel proper right now is not available. It's a Boardwalk Inn. That is not open right now. Hopefully that returns soon too. Kind of like Riverside. It's like they're closing all my favorite places. But you guys stayed at the villas. So walk us through how that worked out for you because I heard you guys had a pretty sweet setup over there.
We did. It was wonderful. So Polynesian is our home resort for DVC. So we're used to that studio for all five of us, which works great. Like no complaints because we are park people like rope drop to close. Anyway, typically before COVID. So we had I was able to really make great use of our points and get a 2-bedroom lock off
Wow.
at Boardwalk with a feature pool view.
Nice.
So it was pretty great. My kids are virtual, so I knew we were going to need some like quiet space and room for people to do their schoolwork. So that was kind of one of my big motivators for booking at Boardwalk. And we were a little leery because we love our Polly, but
Yeah,
we were in that room like 10 minutes and everybody was like, this is awesome.
it is.
And it was wonderful. So we just always like the vibe there of the atmosphere of the boardwalk and the lights and but probably our biggest draw, the thing we love the most, we discovered after we got there was being able to walk to Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Right. And at Boardwalk Villas, especially in the villas, you are really close to the
Yeah,
studios. I mean, you don't I mean, because the villas, they're halfway down the path already towards the studios. Yeah, it's a great spot.
it was fabulous. And you know what? Just that morning walk was so peaceful
Mhm.
and just kind of you're about to enter this park that you know is going to be just let's go.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it was nice to just kind of ease our way, and I didn't feel nearly as frantic when we got to the park. Like I felt more like ready for the day and not like I just fought myself on the bus like everybody get a seat. So
True, but then once you get on Hollywood Boulevard, all bets are off.
exactly, exactly. But then the walk back that night was wonderful too. It was just so peaceful and a great way to just kind of decompress from being like we had some great conversation walking about it back from Hollywood Studios about our day. So that was a good time. So yeah, we made use of the Boardwalk Bakery mobile delivery or mobile order several times in the mornings. We do always, and I'm sure most people do, we use Amazon Prime now. We just
Same.
had some things. I placed the order when we got there. And then, so one of our big things we wanted to do was do the Skyliner because we hadn't been. The last time we were there was 2019 when I ran the half, and we were just there for a few days. So it's open since then. So that was our big plan the first night. My middle, who's waving at me across the table right now, he he and I were like, we want to do the Skyliner. So um, as soon as we arrived from the airport, we kind of just took a deep breath, got out of the mask for a minute, changed mask, um, and we took off and walked down to Skyliner Station and took it over to the Riviera to have dinner. And we ate the most fabulous sandwiches at Is it Piazza?
Right.
I always say
Yeah, Primo Piatto. I love that place. They're so good.
so good,
It is so
so
good.
good. And I will say I was super impressed. I know with COVID, I have a lot of anxiety about that due to some things that just in our family and stuff. We were out there in the courtyard waiting on our order, and one of my kiddos wanted to get in one of the swings out there, and there were some people in that swing, and they got up, and as soon as they got up, there was a cast member there wiping the whole thing down, and then she was like, would you like this?"
Mhm.
And like that just made me feel so much better for the rest of the trip. Like that there was such attention paid to that
Yeah, to
just
make
kind of
sure
put me
everybody's
at
safe.
ease.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be attentive enough to see, okay, we got a kind of a switch here. Somebody's gonna jump on there quick. I gotta hop in before this happens. And let me just say, your kids have great taste because that is exactly what I do. I swing on the swings while I wait for my food at Prima Piazza. We
Yes.
like, I mean, ask Scott. That's what I did last time I was down there. It's perfect.
Well, weather was beautiful. It was a little chilly, but compared to Arkansas in January, it was fabulous.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't know if you've had the Italian sandwich from there, but 3 out of 5 of us got it, and we all gave it 5 stars. So
Hey,
next time you're there,
I'll trust anything because I've had that breakfast sandwich. It is just amazing with the cheese on top, and then I've had the burger twice, and the rib. They don't have the rib burger now, but they have a burger, and it's just as good. So I'll eat anything coming out of that kitchen, and
yeah,
the
it was
fries are
delicious.
amazing. Yeah,
So by that time, we were all kind of wiped. So we just took the Skyliner back. I would say Skyliner, we have split decision in our family on the Skyliner. Some of us love it. Some of us did not enjoy hanging over the highway when it stopped and swinging back and forth in the breeze. Just a little.
Well, it depends how long you're up there, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
exactly.
a little bit, but
I get it.
it was also nighttime, which I think kind of, yeah. Um, anyway, I think everyone would have written it again had we taken the opportunity to do that. So anyway, our we just went back to the hotel and crashed. After that, kids had a little bit of schoolwork they had to catch up on, and I will say we kind of planned this trip. We left on a Wednesday. My kids have asynchronous learning on Fridays, and so we kind of planned it so they wouldn't have huge amounts of work to do while we were there, like just enough that they could finish it like in the mornings before we left or when we got back in the evenings. So
That's a good
they
idea.
finished.
And that's the thing, like, yeah, those asynchronous days, my wife does that on Fridays as well with her students, and, that with those days, a lot of teachers will work with you to I don't even know if they do this, like, in general, but, I mean, what the assignments will be for that day to
Yeah,
complete, so you can eat, maybe even before you leave home, knock them out, or, you can, be proactive and say, "Okay, before we leave, let's get this little math thing done," and then maybe, we'll come back, take a midday break before you take a nap or go swimming, we'll knock out a little language arts and then go from there,
yeah.
kinds of things like
Well,
that.
and we even did because we left on a Wednesday, so they did have those assignments. We had a layover in Dallas, and so they busted out their Chromebooks in the airport and did that instead of playing on the iPad. And that way, when we arrived, they were ready to go. We
Yes.
had all of that taken care of. Anyway, we were kind of spent from travel. You've been in your house
Yeah.
pretty much for that. And anyway, we were just kind of
This is the
spent.
real world.
I know we were
There's
exhausted.
people. There's other people besides us. Yeah.
Yeah. So got back to the room, and then our Amazon order didn't arrive until almost midnight. But that's another story. It arrived. That's the most important thing. Um, so got up the next day was our Hollywood Studios day, and so we have not ridden Rise. So I had a lot of pressure on getting that boarding
I'm just
pass.
kidding. That thing, just the idea of riding Rise, like, gives you gray hair. I'm just saying, like, I
It
get
was
it. I get it.
we tried not to have it be a make it or break it kind of thing, but also, mom, come on now.
I know, it's like you feel like you're a failure if you don't get it, even though it's like, I mean, somebody's not gonna get it, and it doesn't mean they did anything wrong. It's a crapshoot. Really, it is.
Right. And I really think it is because my husband and I both had our phones open on refresh, 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 750, like 758, just refresh, 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 and we didn't get it.
Wait, you said 7:58. That might be why you didn't.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I was gonna
Sorry.
say, no. Okay,
650.
just making sure
No.
because trust me, the
Sorry.
emails will come in if I don't say
No.
that. I'll answer
Wrong
it. "No,
time.
she meant
Wrong
6:58." That's
time
fine.
zone difference.
That's
Sorry.
exactly right, I know.
Yes. So, um, yes, I didn't know what time we were supposed to be
'Cause
be
everybody's
doing
like,
it. That's not why.
"That's why." I'm like, "No,
Because it did pop up, but then it like on my husband's phone, he was like, "Oh, I think I'm in," and then it was gone. Like
oh, that's even
it was
worse."
gone. Yeah. So, and I really, after listening to some of your other shows, I'm wondering if it wasn't because we were on the hotel Wi-Fi. Like,
Yep.
I'm wondering if I hadn't have walked down to get our coffee and tried.
Right. See, I do that now. I said doo-doo. I shouldn't have said. See, I'm like a 12-year-old, but because it's your kids.
Yeah.
That was for your kids right there. But no, I always go on the LTE and I get away from my buildings, especially like if I'm at Pop Century or Caribbean Beach, because for a decade they've had horrible cell service at both of those hotels. So I make sure I'm like standing where there's not even trees by me. Like it matters. I mean, this is how important this thing is, right? I'm standing and
Right.
there could be a lightning storm, and I'm still like, well, I'll take my chances. It's like,
Right.
well, if I get struck down, I just didn't get a boarding group, and I'll see you guys later. I mean, it's
Well,
that
thank
bad. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we didn't get it, and we were a little bit sad, but we were also like, you know what? We're at Disney. Like, we haven't been here in 2 years. Like, we
Right.
were just
Well, I
so
need it.
excited. We're not gonna let it ruin our day. There's still lots of things to do, and we can try again later. So we went ahead and walked on over to the studios, and just as soon as we walked in, I think we got there about 20 minutes before the park really opened. Um, and it was kind of funny because we're all just kind of walking, and then you get closer and you see all the people, and so we just started walking faster and
Right, right.
faster.
It's like, hey, everybody else is moving fast. I better move fast. I don't know where we're
I gotta go
going.
fast.
We're going to be moving fast somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we moved really fast to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which we hadn't done either, and we just decided this trip was kind of hard for me. I'm a planner, and I'm like the fast pass planner, the meal planner, all of that. And I want to talk about our what we did with dining a
Okay.
little bit later. But um, anyway, they were like, here's a line. Let's just get in it. And it went so fast. We were in and out of Mickey and Minnie's in like 25 minutes. And
Now, let me ask you this real quick, because while you're talking about this, because you have kids that have experience, did they kind of freak out at first glance at the lines? Because the lines, like, for example, right now, Peter Pan, you go through Columbia Harbor House. Now, I've told Mallory this like 28,000 times already. I'm like, okay, when we go into the Magic Kingdom, now she's been there since park reopened, but there was nobody there in August when we were there.
Right.
I'm like, it's gonna look like it's crazy. Like, we may get in line and we may not even be in the same land as the attraction, because she knows, because she's been on these rides 100 times.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it because it's gonna keep moving. It's just gonna look way worse than it actually is. But I think with her little stubborn head, because she's my stubborn kid, because I'm stubborn, she's gonna have a hard time. Did your kids kind of balk at first, and then maybe a couple attractions in, they're like, okay, we kind of figured it out. It's not gonna be as bad.
Well, we had a whole lot of conversation about it before we went. We had to have a lot of conversation about it's going to look different,
Right.
because there were a lot of things. I think I told you earlier, like, we always eat ohana our first morning. Like,
Yeah,
that
well,
is just tradition. And so you're like, we can't do that. And they're like, we're like, but now we can do this. And so we just had a lot of prep conversations about it. And some of that's the teacher in me, like, I want
right.
to set your expectations. So
Exactly.
going in,
Our expectations, and we all follow them, and everything's good.
right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good. And we're going to find the good things and not mourn the sad things, because we are very fortunate to be here.
Right.
So it helped so much. The thing you said that was most key for my kids was that it kept moving.
Mm-hmm. It
I
does.
think if we had been stationary, it would have been a lot harder. But the fact that we were walking towards the goal the whole time.
And you're always, it's almost like you're Pac-Man, right? Because you're always going for the next
Yes.
dot. It's like dot, dot, dot. You're Frogger. Boom, boom, boom. You
Yes.
know, it gives you a target. Oh, there's one open. Go, go, go. You're
Yes.
constantly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as it's moving, I can handle it.
Yes. The moving helped so much. Now, the one thing I will say, because my kids are rule followers like me, there's some people who don't know how to stand on their dot.
Yeah, trust me. Yep. And I just have to. I'm just like, you know what? That's how the world works. Not everybody follows the directions.
And I'm just like, I can get 5-year-olds to stand on a dot.
One time, I gotta tell you this, you'll appreciate it because your teacher. Quick side note: my kids in 6th grade would not walk in a line for nothing. Like, this one year, I had these just knuckleheads that would not ever walk in a line. They're just like a mob going down the hall. It embarrassed me, because my classes were always like, I had clear expectations. We had the best, we just did things the right way.
Yeah.
Oldest kids in the school would not walk in a line. This was like Christmas. I'm like, okay, this is it. I went and got a playground rope. I tied like 26 knots in the thing. Everybody had to hold a knot for a week. I'm like, you are going to be properly spaced. If you hold on to that knot, we're all being aligned. But yeah, one of the parents didn't like that. So, but I mean, I was like, I needed like they needed a concrete. And Disney gives that to us right now, right? With the dots. Yeah. I mean, like, I was trying to give them, because the dots would have worked, I guess, back in like 19 or 2003 or something. But I was just like, how can I give them some kind of a prop or some kind of an aid? So that, I mean, like, walking for 12-year-olds in a line should not be this hard. Like, because I always told them, if my 6th graders were walking like a big mess, the kindergartners are going to look at us and be like, oh, the cool kids are they're walking like they don't know what's going on. We're not going to be the knuckleheads that cause the whole school to fall apart. So it's just
exactly. Well, I had dots on my floor in my classroom for when we would line up, so you're not popping anybody's bubble. Good thing you're a bubble.
Nice. See, teacher saved the world.
So when we got there, I was like, oh, look, 6 spots. Everybody has a spot.
All these 50-year-old people acting like kindergartners. Let's do it. No, that's great. No,
my husband gets a little frustrated with me sometimes, because I'm like, why are they doing that in line? That is not how a line works.
I know. Seriously, civilization breaks down when you can't walk in a line. Just saying.
Yeah. So anyway, that helped. Just moving forward, and yeah, that helped a lot. So we did Mickey and Minnie's, and then I think from there I made a note. We popped over to we went to Galaxy's Edge because we couldn't stand it any longer.
Right.
We had to go see it, so we went over there, and we did Smuggler's Run, which was also not a long wait. Just enjoyed the queue, and yes, Ryland's going. Hi. He was the pilot.
Oh man, I've piloted once and it made me sick as a dog because I could not do it. I was terrible.
I know you piloted twice, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, Mallory was the co-pilot. I was the pilot, and I got both of us sick, I think. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I was a little worried because I do get motion sickness quite easily, and I didn't. Like, it didn't bother me
Yeah.
And we rode
And I was
it. We
an
didn't
engineer.
get to ride it.
It didn't bother me when I was engineer one time. It was a family of 5, and grandma was the other engineer, and me. I was the only one that wasn't part of the family. I was by the end of the trip. And grandma and I were the engineers. She kept looking over me. What do I do? I'm like, if something flashes, just punch it, hit it, twist it. I don't know. Or just touch it. So we
I
had
was engineer, and I was just like, it's flashing. I'll just push a button. I don't know.
it's like, I just want flashes, just flip the switch. I don't know.
Well, when they see you that far away from the action, I just figured my job must not be that important.
Exactly what I said. And I was totally fine. Didn't make me sick. But yeah, pilot, no thanks.
Yeah. So we ended up riding it twice. Just because wait times were so great. Like we were able to just, and even if it was a little long, it didn't feel long because you were moving the whole time.
Right.
And I would also say we stopped kind of paying attention to whatever Disney was telling us the wait time was because it was always significantly lower than the sign or the app was telling us it was going to be. Because I think it was Slinky Dog. It said it had like a 35-minute wait, and we sat down to ride it in 17 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's great.
So, speaking of Slinking Dog, we got to ride it 3 times just because of that fact. It was anytime we were like, what should we do next? We are like, let's go back to Slinky Dog.
Yes. Nice. I love that picture.
It was great. So we did Smuggler's Run. We grabbed a Ronto wrap, which was really good. I've got heads shaking across. My husband and I enjoyed the Ronto.
I love Ronto wraps, and I love breakfast Ronto wraps. I could have Ronto wraps all day. I could have a little like me and Ronto
one
wrap.
of each. Yeah, we sampled those. One of each is a little snack, and then we had to go do Star Tours because we do it all every time we go. Hit up Toy Story Land. I'm trying to think. Oh, we had reservations that night at Sci-Fi Dine-In, which we've been to before, but it's been a while. My husband says, I don't know how long ago this was, but he thinks he had the best steak of his life at Sci-Fi, like years ago.
Yeah, breaking news. Best steak in the world came from Sci-Fi on some night at some time in the past. Never, we've done 1,800 podcasts, never heard that one.
Like, how tired and hungry were you?
That's
I'm gonna guess it was back when we had 2 in diapers and we tried to go.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you know what? You take what you can get when you got little kids. You know, it's like White Castle tastes good if you can just have 5 minutes without kids crying. Yeah,
exactly. So we went there, and actually, it was a really good meal. But so we were headed there. I took a tip from you and scheduled it as late as I could, so we would be there and be able to be in the park when it closed and or after close and walk out. But I think what my husband and I had a moment in Hollywood Studios, and we were like, we've arrived. We were walking out of Toy Story Land, and my husband has a headache issue, so he can't do spinny rides or he'll get like a migraine headache. Anyway, and they make me motion sick, so we don't our poor children don't really get to do those. There was like no line at the alien spinny saucers. And so my husband asked the cast member, the kids wanted to do it, and he was like, we can't do it. Can they go with the brother? And she was like, yeah, of course. And we were like, our children are riding a ride without us?
For real? I know you're like, we have 7 minutes of joy.
Yeah, we were like, go, have some fun. So we've gone from pushing babies in diapers around Disney World to now being able to shoo them off. And but they were a little nervous because they'd not done this before, and they kept looking back at us like, are you sure? We're like, yeah, it's good, go. And my oldest, who's very much a rule follower, they got seated in their saucer, and I guess the cast member, I saw her ask him something, and what did she say? How old are you? Yeah. She was like, how old are you? And he said, I'm 15. And,
I'm 21.
I think he thought he was about to get kicked out of alien saucers. And he looked around at us like, oh, we were like, it's okay, buddy. So they rode that was our monumental thing for this trip. They rode a ride for the first time without a parent.
I mean, that's a memory for them, right? They'll probably talk about that 30 years from now. Remember that time? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it opened up a whole new world of rides for them, right? Because they don't get to do teacups.
That spins. Sorry, kid. You can just look. You can't touch.
We really would. Like, don't those kids look like they're having fun? Too bad you can't.
They just look like they're having fun. They're really miserable inside. Yeah.
So That was fun, and I think that was the last ride we did of the day, but, like I said, we are a rope drop till close kind of family, so we just kind of had some snacks and, it was good, we hadn't been to Hollywood Studios in a while because we didn't get to go there when we were there in 2019 because it was such a short trip, so we just kinda enjoyed some of the new things that were available and made the most of our time.
Successful day without rides. You got to do all kinds of Star Wars stuff. You had Ronto Wraps. You flew the Falcon,
Yeah.
Star Tours, Minnie and Mickey, or Mickey and Minnie's, Minnie and Mickey's. Now I feel like I don't know which way
Yeah,
it goes.
I always say it wrong.
Yeah, I
But,
mean, that's Toy Story Land. Awesome. I mean, great day.
I forgot the most important part.
What's up?
So is it 1 o'clock when you can try again?
I think it's 2 o'clock
2,
now. It
2
changed.
o'clock.
It changed at one point. Yeah.
Okay. So I promise we were like, we will try again. So we walked to Galaxy's Edge. I don't think this had anything to do with it.
You know what though? The Force may smile on you if you're in Galaxy's Edge.
Like,
That's what I
perhaps
say.
if we're
Run it.
there, I
Yeah.
will say I felt like the park capacity went down after that time. Like around between 1 and 2, I felt like the park wasn't as full.
All the disappointed herds just said, "We're
And
out
I
of here."
well, so we went back to Star Wars Land or to Galaxy's Edge and tried again. We tried and we got one. We got a boarding group.
There you
So we were like, all
go.
right. So we just kind of walked around and we just kind of enjoyed being in the park until our boarding group came up and we were able to go ride Rise.
Okay,
So
spoiler free though, because there's still a lot of people haven't got a chance, and I dodge spoilers like crazy until I got to ride it, so I don't want to be the person who does it for anybody
oh,
else. Did it live up to all
okay.
the
So
work, all the stress?
here's the I don't really remember it.
Oh my gosh, it's a long attraction too.
I know. Well, I think it was I say that. I remember big parts, but it's so just a lot to take in, I think.
It is,
And
yeah, it
so,
is. You're right. It's better the second time. I'll be honest. It is way
yeah,
better the second time.
I think that's what I told my husband. I was like, I think I'll enjoy it more next time. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I enjoyed watching my boys do it
Yeah.
because I was kind of watching their faces as we were, and they're they're oohs and ahs and stuff, and so that was really cool for me the first time. So I'm looking forward to writing it again, so perhaps I can remember some.
I know. See, when we go down a couple weeks, we don't have Holly because Mallory got her ticket late, way late, because it comes through this varsity and through the gym and everything. So by the time we got her ticket, there were no reservations left for the studios. And you know what? We're only gonna be down there for a little bit, and it's like a load off, right? Because I don't have to we're not going to the studios, so I don't have to even worry about any of that. Yeah, and we've done it, so we're good. So I'm
Right.
not, I'm kind of happy. We'll focus
Yeah.
on the other part.
So I'll be real fast. We went to Sci-Fi, had a great meal, and walked out of the park, and we were like the only people in the park. Got some
That's
great.
the best, isn't it? I mean, because the thing is, you're
Yeah.
not going to get a lot of opportunities to do that. We did that at the studios and at the Magic Kingdom in August. I'll never get to do that again. I mean, it was so cool. Like you get to actually hear the background loop. You see especially at the
Yeah.
studios, all the neon. It's so pretty.
And we just kind of took our time and meandered out, and the kids were jumping and playing and running, and
All right.
so it
It's like
was.
the only
And then we
place.
had, but then we were like, oh, we got to walk back to the room. But
It's longer
it's
than it looks
okay.
because that little stretch, just anybody that's run the full marathon knows that is mile 25 of the full marathon. And you
Oh,
start contemplating, why did I do this? And
yeah,
you're
I'm
running
sure
along
you
that
do.
water. You're just like, oh, Epcot's so far away.
Yes,
Sounds
yeah.
like a good
So
day. It's a good first full day, though.
it was great. Second day was Epcot. We stayed in the room and let the kids do some schoolwork and catch up because it opens later, like at 11. So we just had a lazy morning breakfast. Well, my husband and I had a lazy morning, put them to work on their schoolwork, and we ate dinner that night at Garden Grill, which was great. We, being DVC, got to just kind of take a little break in the DVC lounge, which we weren't sure if it would be open, but it was.
Mhm,
So we went up there, and that was a good. If you're DVC, I would suggest that as like a good mask break. Like
mhm.
it was not crowded at all as some of the other. There was good spacing at the other relaxation stations, but not nearly as many people in the DVC lounge. So
Right.
if you're able to take advantage of that, it was a good spot for us to just take the mask off and chill.
Good call. It's cool space
Um,
anyway. Like I went up there with Scott's family and I was like, "This is cool being up here." It's just fun.
yes, it was fun. My kids always enjoy going. We take more advantage of it probably in the summertime
Mhm.
when we can get out of the heat a little bit. So let me see. We walked it. Of course, we walked there from Boardwalk and went straight to Test Track. And so we did Test Track in Soren. And then we were like, oh, we're hungry. But where we want to eat is all the way across the lake. So because
Oh,
we wanted, because of course it is.
yeah, of course. Because I used to always want Mexican, and Mallory or Paige would only eat something out of like Liberty Tavern. Back in the day before the Regal Eagle, she'd want like chicken nuggets, and then we never could even eat within like 3 countries of each other. It was always a joke. Like it had to be like bink, 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 as far apart as possible with World Showcase.
Yeah, well, that's what we wanted. Regal, is it Regal Eagle? I always try to call it Beagle or something.
No,
Anyway.
but Scott bought us Regal Beagle shirts for this summer just to wear to be funny.
Nice. Well, so my husband had a great idea. He was like, "Why don't we just take the boat?" I was like,
Oh yeah,
"Oh,
there. It's not just for pretty. Yeah, that's right. It's
it's not just
transportation.
it can be transportation too." So we took it across and ate there, and it was really good. It was our first experience there, and I think everybody cleaned their plate. So I was going to talk really fast about dining because we are dining plan. We
Yeah,
love the dining plan.
that's a big question that folks have.
So we were really disappointed that there was no dining plan available in the beginning, especially my middle, who just turned 10. And he was like, I'm an adult on the Disney
Right.
dining.
I'm eating it all.
He's been waiting since he was 2.5.
Coming hungry to Disney. Get ready.
So what we did, and I don't know if this would work for every family, it worked for us. I got online and kind of did a little research and found out like how much we would have paid for dining plan for each person, and that was our budget for food.
Right, I've
We
heard
didn't
that.
have to spend it, but it was there, so we didn't. Because I think what we love about the dining plan is we don't have to worry about, oh, we shouldn't have another snack because we've already spent this much money on snacks today. It's
That's
kind of like
totally
that.
it makes it all inclusive kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's like it reminds me of a cruise, right? I eat like
right.
I eat terrible on a cruise. I'm like, yeah, I'll have that 7th piece of pizza. Who cares? I'm not paying for it. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Yes, and so that was kind of our mindset. Like we don't want to have to think about it, budget about it, anything about it. We just want to enjoy like we normally would. So that's what we did. We figured the 10-year-old in as an adult and the 9-year-old as a child, and that was it. And so we didn't restrain ourselves, right? Like we didn't say, oh, we can't do an ADR because we don't have a dining plan. So
Right.
I booked ADRs for every night. Well, not every night, but one a day.
Mm-hmm.
We had an ADR once a day because that's something we really enjoy, and we didn't want to miss out on
It's part of the
that
experience.
part.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's hard for people that haven't been before to understand that, but like a garden grill isn't just eating breakfast. It's a rotating restaurant with characters. I mean, and it
yes,
is people are walking by, you're in between a couple of attractions. It's not just eating, it's fun, and that's the whole
right.
thing. You go to these like sci-fi. I mean, you're at a simulated drive-in. It's an experience. And I think that's the hardest thing. Like we always try to do one ADR a day too. Like some days it'll be breakfast, most days it'll be dinner. Every once in a while I'll throw in like kind of a late lunch if we want to do something else. But yeah, good point though, because but it's hard to explain until you've done it, till you've been there and seen it. Cause you're like, oh my gosh, it's a meal. Who cares? It's a restaurant.
Right, but it's not. And it's memories too from times we've gone before,
Right.
and so. But COVID did kind of push us out of our normal eating spots, which was really good because typically we would have been like, oh, we need to go to beer garden because eh,
Mhm.
that's where we go when we go to Epcot. So it was great to go to Garden Grill. We've been wanting to go there forever. We really enjoyed it. My husband's favorite ride is Living with the Land. So
Yes, your husband is so smart. He's had a great steak at sci-fi and he loves Living with the Land. I'll have to send him my new text tone I made.
yes, it's a big family joke about living with land. We're always
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know if we have time for your ride, Dad.
Oh my gosh, I love that, right?
So, did living with I have told him several times when we can do tours again, or private tours or group tours, he's getting the Living with the Land tour as a gift at some point.
Yes, and that's economical. Behind the scenes, one of the cheapest.
Yes,
Yes, he's
yes,
smart.
he's going alone, but he's going. Um, so we did that. And then I think we were just kind of, I think, just exhausted. We had a big Hollywood Studios day, and so we were just kind of like done and spent and ready to go back after gorging ourselves at Garden Grill. But we did make the kids all walk to the very front of the park to see the fountain, the
Yep.
front. They were like,
I haven't seen it yet. I'm
"Oh,
so
it's
a
so
couple weeks.
pretty." It's awesome. We loved it. And they were all about it until they realized that we then had to walk all the way back to
Yeah,
get
and
back to the
especially
church.
nowadays, it feels like you're walking 10 times further right now in Future World, or what used to be
Yes,
Future World, the maze,
yes,
the labyrinth.
yeah. So we have a saying in our family. We always say, "Put on your Disney legs." So we're like,
Yes, that's a good
"Put on your
call.
Disney legs, and we're going. Let's go."
Okay.
We like to hike as a family because there's lots of hiking trails around here. So when they complain about being tired out on a trail, we're like, "Well, find your Disney legs because we're not done yet."
Everybody needs to adopt that. That's a good call. Yes, tell your kids.
Anyway, so then we went to Animal Kingdom, which we hadn't been to in a while. That was our third day. And Flight of Passage because we had not done that yet, which I really enjoyed. I loved Flight of Passage. I don't know that everyone in my family was as big a fan, but I thought it was really fun. My daughter really liked it a lot. And then, of course, we had to go on we went on the safari because we do that every time. But the gorilla trail,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I love
Um,
those.
we became mildly obsessed with One Day at Animal Kingdom during
Yes, on Disney Plus.
quarantine.
Yes.
Yes, and so we know all the animals by name, and we had to go in search of all the animals. My daughter has, I'm surprised it's not in here. She has a 6 foot tall giraffe in her bedroom that is named Kenya from One
Okay, well,
Day.
let's clarify. It's stuffed giraffe, not you don't.
Yes, it's a stuffed giraffe.
Just so nobody emails
Don't
again.
tell her that, but yes.
That's
And
funny.
you never know where you're going to find it around our house. It just shows up. Kenya goes everywhere.
I like it.
Um,
Cool.
so we had to go look for some of those animals that we were so familiar with from that show. So that was great. And then we ate at Yak and Yeti that evening. Oh, and I will say character cavalcades. Oh my gosh.
They're great, aren't they?
Hands
They
down.
should, they should stick around. They totally should stick around.
Best thing ever. So we had Yak and Yeti, which we'd never done before. Again, another first time thing for us, and it was delicious. And my 10-year-old made use of his meal credit and ate half a rack of ribs by himself.
Wow. He's like, I'm on the plan. Like, sir, we don't have a plan right now. No, I am on the plan. Bring
He's
it
like, bring it right here.
around.
So anyway, we went back early that night and had dessert in our room. We picked up some dessert down at the just at the store there at the resort
Yeah.
at Boardwalk, which I'm not as familiar with as I am at Polly. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it thimbles and something? I'm trying to remember outside what it says something. It's
Yeah,
two
I
words. I
don't
can't
know.
remember either. It doesn't matter.
I
It's
don't
right there.
remember, but we grabbed some fun desserts there, and then the kids wanted to swim. So because we'd been staring at this wonderful pool for 3 days, and it was time to get in it.
It
And
used to be
then
a clown pool, and that's the Keister coaster.
yes, yes, it was already the Keister coaster when we got there, and they loved it. It got rave reviews. In fact, someone said it might be a better slide than the one through the volcano at Polynesian.
It's pretty cool. I've been down both, and I would give the Keister coaster, formerly getting spat out of a clown's mouth pool, the nod. I think it's pretty cool. I
Yes,
like it over there.
yeah, they liked it a lot. So Magic Kingdom was our last day, and we just did all the typical things we always do at Magic Kingdom. Enjoyed character cavalcades a lot. We got there, like when we got to the park, it was not busy at all. Like we have pictures where we are pretty much the only people walking through Frontierland. Like
Wow, that's
it
awesome.
was, my 15-year-old was like, "This is so weird. This is
Yeah,
so
don't.
weird."
I would be like, don't get used to it, but enjoy it. But don't get used to
Yeah,
it.
just enjoy it. But then I would say probably by like 10:30ish, because we got there about 8:15. By 10:30ish, it started kind of picking up
Right.
a little bit more. But we just did all of our typical Magic Kingdom things. There was not a ride that we wanted to ride that we weren't able to get on and off of within like 30 minutes.
So you're a planner though, and you've confessed that a few times on today's show. Now, with the lack of fast pass, you still got through everything you wanted, but did it take you kind of? I think for me, what it took was because I'm a huge fan of fast pass. I like knowing because I'm fine with doing like 6 or 7 things, like 3 big things, and just filling the rest of the day with minor things. I'm totally cool with that. That's my style. But when you get there without fast pass and you've been doing this for a decade, it's kind of startling because, like you said, like when you went into the studios that first day, you're just like, okay, where are we going? We don't have a
Yeah.
plan. We're just going to go where we go, which is kind of fun once you get used to it, but it takes like a
Yeah.
mindset shift.
It does, because I am not an impulsive person. I'm not like a by the seat of my pants. Like I get a little anxiety if I'm
Hey,
not
like,
sure.
I need to know where I'm going. Like, tell me.
Yeah. Well, and that's why like Hollywood Studios, anytime we didn't know what to do, we were like, let's get in line for Slinky.
Yeah,
Very cool.
seriously, at least we're doing something. Yeah,
At least we have a plan and we're moving towards a goal of something.
right.
So for Magic Kingdom, I think we didn't really talk about it, but my husband is also a planner. So we just kind of started with Seven Dwarfs and moved to the left. Like we did Seven Dwarfs and then we just moved on around until we ended up in Adventureland.
Yeah.
So we did that whole side. And then we had some lunch and then we moved over and did the other whole side of the park. Because I feel like sometimes, especially when the kids were little, we would waste a lot of time ping ponging.
Same. Yep.
And that's another reason I know a lot of people park hop, and it's just never really worked for us. Partially probably because I am a planner, and it stresses me out to think like we wouldn't get somewhere in time to do something, and we're perfectly like I feel like we waste a lot of time if we're park hopping. Like,
There is transportation time, right? I mean, you're leaving
yeah,
the park, you're on a
right.
bus, you're entering a park. Yeah, I
Right,
get
and
it, especially nowadays
it
because
would
you
probably
got
be so
and all
much
that.
better now that they're older, but when they were little and there's a stroller in tow, and
Yes.
that was just too much. I was like, "We lost half a day. What are we
Right.
doing?" So, anyway, it worked out really well for us to just kind of like be more logistic
Mhm.
about it than planning out every event. So, it worked well, and I feel like we got everything accomplished we wanted to get accomplished. We did all the mountains, which is always our goal. And then we wanted to end kind of peacefully and at one of our favorite places. So we had a Whispering Canyon reservation for that
Oh,
evening.
hang on, wait. Whispering Canyon and Peaceful. First time that's ever been brought together in the history of our podcast. Not really.
Well,
It's fine. No, I get what you're
peaceful
saying.
boat ride, I should say,
Okay, Peaceful Boat Ride. I was like, and they're not
to
doing the
Whispering
Christmas
Canyon.
thing, so it's not as crazy
They're
as
not. It's
past.
not as crazy. So we love the boat ride over there. We love walking around that resort. It's just kind of a peaceful.
Mhm.
Um,
It is. It's
my
beautiful.
It is, and we've never stayed there. You've probably heard of this place. Big Cedar is
Mhm,
very close to us, and we
mhm.
go there usually once a year. And it just kind of really reminds us of that atmosphere, which we really enjoy. Um, so we went over there, and Whispering Canyon was great. I think we were just kind of like we had done everything we wanted to do in the park, and we were like, you know what, let's just head over. We're gonna arrive early for our reservation, but we'll just walk around. And when we got there, we did kind of wander around, went in the gift shop, walked around outside, and then my husband said, "Why don't you just go let them know we're here, and maybe if they can get us in early, we're about 30 minutes early, I guess."
Mhm.
But it wasn't busy at all. So I just walked up to the hostess stand and told them that we were there. And she was like, "I can get you in if you're ready to eat." And I was like,
Let's see.
"Yes, let's eat. I got hungry children. Let's do it." So it was like 5 minutes. We were seated and halfway through our meal before it was really even our reservation time.
That's such a bonus because then you
With
get another because that time gets shifted to the end of the day where you can go back
Yeah,
and have some time in the pool or you get maybe packing or just having a more
right.
less chaotic night.
Well, and it just helped dinner kind of be a little, and the kids were hungry, right? Because
Right.
we had had dinner and we had had lunch, but it was a later dinner. So,
Mhm.
and they'd had a couple snacks, but I think we were kind of sugar crashing by that point. Like we needed some actual food in our body to keep everyone happy. So, and they have fond memories of Whispering Canyon because the first time we were there, the cast member that waited on us brought everybody shakes without being prompted.
Wow, that's nice.
And also dessert to go because she felt like they needed a dessert to go. So
And
that
this
was
cast member's name is no, just kidding.
I know she was a fabulous, and I don't remember, which is so sad, but it was our first time to ever go to Whispering Canyon, and she just kept bringing my children stuff. And I was like, no, that's really enough now.
That's pretty sweet.
Uh, so I think in their brains they were like, that's happening again.
You know the restaurant where we get shakes and desserts and all that stuff? They
Yeah,
just bring them to us? Yeah, no.
yeah. Yeah. So they did get their shakes again. They weren't brought unprompted, but they did have shakes again. And she was a fabulous cast member and just really good with the kids and addressing them and um, having fun with them. So, and even though it was indoor dining, like it was very spaced out. Like I felt totally comfortable with all the precautions they were taking, and just it was the first time our dining at Disney was the first time we've dined in a restaurant in over a year. So that says a lot that we felt comfortable
Right. A
doing that.
lot of guests are kinda in that same boat, like, they haven't because I work with a ton of guests at the Magic for Less, and it's like, we haven't eaten inside, but we might give it a shot there, and they come back and always, ask, like, "Okay, how did you feel?" "Did you I hope you felt comfortable, like, what was your thoughts?" And that's kinda the same thing. They said, "We did try an indoor restaurant, I felt okay." Again, the Disney's you'll appreciate this again, anybody in education, is that they enforce things consistently,
Mhm.
and there's physical reminders everywhere, not just the dots, for physical distancing, but signage about, washing your hands and about mask, proper not just having a mask on, but how to wear it, what it has to cover, what it looks like. And I think,
Right.
as somebody that's worked in education, if you want to have your kids that you get in August, function as a cohesive unit in February, it all starts with clear and very concrete expectations. And I think Disney's doing that very well for the guests. I mean, it helps me because you
Absolutely.
can't not know what to do.
Right. Well, and something I noticed that as a parent I really appreciated, and I don't know, other parents might not, but my kids were really good about keeping their mask up and everything. But I did notice a cast member. We were in Hollywood Studios. There was a little girl whose mask was down, and they directly addressed the child, not the parent. And as a parent, I like that because I might have told them 10 times to pull their mask up, but they didn't listen to me.
One cast member, it's a whoop.
Yeah, but someone in authority tells them, and the little girl just pulled it up and nothing, but they did it very respectfully. And, "Princess, I'm gonna need you to pull that up." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but as a parent, I kinda like sometimes that being taken off of my plate to
I'm
have
with
to keep
you.
enforcing that.
I'm with you. I told you. And then as soon as the cast member walks by, I told you 17 times, pull that mask over your nose.
Right, and, those things happen, like, we get sweaty and it slides down, never intentional, but
Right.
yet, anyway, we felt very comfortable. I've heard others say this, just more comfortable there than I do going to Walmart down the street, or I do going, I don't know, at Target. Like,
Target. That's what
it
everybody says Target. I don't know why. You know
well,
what?
because they don't live here.
That's true. You live in Walmart world, but because you're in Bentonville. But the thing is, like, I don't know what Target's like on the inside anymore because ever since the pandemic started and they just bring all your stuff to your car, that's the greatest thing
Right.
ever. Throw it in the trunk. I
Mhm.
may never go in a store the rest of my life. That is the great. I know there's been a lot of stuff, but that is the greatest invention that has ever happened in the last 2 years. I'm like, I need soda. I need toothpaste. Show my phone. The trunk's open.
Yes. Well, we have, Walmart delivery, so that has been I'm like, "Leave it on the porch. Kids will bring it in. It'll be great."
Well, hey, we're running way long, and I
Yes, we
appreciate the
are.
time
We
for
are.
sharing this, but I want to wrap up with two things before we
Yeah.
go. So, first of all, you got to give a shout out to the kids because I know they're probably going to listen to the show and they're the star of this episode. So, make sure oh, I see one right there. I'm
Very
waving
fun.
down there in Bentonville. Give them a shout out and just so they can know that they were a part of the show because they were definitely a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Caden is our 15-year-old who's probably hiding in a room upstairs because that's what he does now.
That's
But he still loves Disney. That magic we thought was going to be gone after the first trip is still there. He's still as much a planner of it as anyone else. And then Rylan, he's 10, and then I think I
He's
told
the
Nora, who's 8.
I've renamed him Mr. Rib by there. He's in the video.
Yeah,
He orders
riblet.
the ribs. That's right, riblet. Okay,
Yes.
good.
And this is Nora. She's 9, and they are my co-planners for our Disney travel, I guess.
Nice,
So
and she is the giraffe wrangler. I will call her.
yes, she actually has decided she wants to be a vet after watching all of those Animal Kingdom
Great.
shows.
That's great.
So
Hey, the University of Missouri. Yeah, I know you're in Arkansas. They have a great veterinary school. So I'm just saying, head north.
okay,
Great. Anyway, so one last thing though.
yeah.
After all this trip, you've kind of mentioned a lot of stuff, but like one tip for somebody that's heading down, especially somebody that has kids your age, like, is there something that you would do differently or something you would just like want to emphasize one more time for folks that are heading down maybe this spring or this summer that are in kind of a similar situation as you?
I think if you have kids who have gone a lot pre-COVID, it's super important to prepare them for what to expect this trip. And I know, like, I hadn't been, but I did listen to a lot of podcasts. Listening to your podcast, I think I told you in an email that my kids consider you and Ricky and Pam like their personal Disney gurus. So Just share as much as you can about what to expect so that we're not having meltdowns about what we thought was going to happen based on previous experiences. And I think also just kind of letting go, just let go
Right.
yourself and follow where the fun is. Like, I didn't expect to ride Slinky Dog Dash 3 times in one day, but it's a great memory. And COVID has taken a lot of things from us, but like now we have this memory that we were able to do that 3 times in one day as a family. Like we giggle about it. Like maybe we can beat our record next time. So, I see a lot of talk as I do follow a lot of Disney things about, well, I'm not going until this happens, and I'm not going until I can do this. And I guess my frame of mind is like just think about what you can do and not what you can't do.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, I respect people that are waiting because I get it. I mean, like, Disney didn't drop the price because, you're doing 80% of the things.
Right.
I mean, I understand if people are riding it out, I'm with you.
Right. Your
You know
choice.
what
You've got to do what you're comfortable with.
Exactly. But I'm one of those people just like you, like, you know what? 80% of Disney is better than 100% of this house. I just gotta
Right.
get out of here.
Well, we had a whole lot of DVC points that were about to just go out the window. We were like, okay,
And I gotta do something. Okay,
we
well,
have to do something.
I gotta wrap this one. But hey, it's been so
Yeah.
much fun, Missy. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for letting us hear all the stories of your kids. And I sure appreciate it. So I know you probably have another trip planned sometime soon,
We
but when you come
do.
back, we'll have to talk about it again.
4th of July, baby. We'll be there.
Hey, I'll be there right afterwards. Sounds
All
good to me.
right.
All right.
Have a great trip in April. Bye.
I sure will. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Just drop by the magicforless.com today. Check out all the great specials there. And while you're there, if you're heading down to Walt Disney World, piece of cake. Fill out the free, no obligation quote form. Mention the show. It'll come straight to me. We'll plan a great vacation, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland soon. We have Adventures by Disney even into 2022 right now. We've been working on those a lot this past week. And Disney Cruise Line. Those ships are just like they're at the starting line. They're so close, but we can book cruises all the way through September of 22 right now. So check them out over at themagicforless.com. Also, hey, a free way to support the show is to use our Amazon affiliate link. It's over at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. If you could bookmark that and use that anytime you shop online, it really does help support the show. It's one extra click, no fuss, no muss, anything like that. You get your Prime benefits. Just use beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And again, a huge shout out to our patrons. You guys are carrying the show and allowing us to do 4 shows a week here on the feed, which I hope you enjoy each and every one of those. And if you're a patron, you get Mike in the Midwest every Thursday. It's kind of a podcast about just me talking about stories growing up, about doing the podcast, about running, about just stuff I've done in general. It's a lot of fun, I think. And, we have fun conversations. We have a private Discord server as well. So if you'd like to become a patron and help us do what we do, it's sure appreciated. Just visit patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Mike and at Be Our Guest Pod. And of course, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube. And you can see all the video that goes along with this. You probably don't want to see me, but you can see our guests, and that's always a lot of fun as well. One last thing, join us this Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, just 6 days from today. We have you, me, and Scotty G. We open up the phone lines. You are the star of the show. We go over the Disney news of the week, then we open the phone lines and talk all about it with anybody that wants to give us a call. We love it because we get more voices on during that show than any show of the week, and we love talking Disney with our listeners. So again, this Sunday night, YouTube and Facebook, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Please do plan to join us. We love talking to you. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. We thank you so much for spending your Monday with us, and we hope that you have a great and productive week. So for Mike and Missy, I'm wishing you an awesome week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Hey, Tanya. Hey, everybody. I guess everybody ducked. I will see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the show. And this one will be out on Monday. Mike in the Midwest tomorrow coming up. Let me save this real quick. Episode 186 unedited night. See you later. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.